going on, everyone? We hope you had a great weekend and are ready to get right back into the markets. There's a lot going on right now as Bitcoin and Tesla are rocketing to the moon still. We actually had a big Nasdaq rebalance that just happened. At the same time, the market breadth is at its strongest level since shortly after 9/11. And this week we have an important FOMC rate decision, so you already know the big man, Jerome Powell, is coming back, and there's a lot of exciting movement on the schedule. Tom, we have a lot going on in the market right now, and we're nearing at the end of the year. There's a lot of craziness going on, so I have a feeling this week's going to be a really great one.
Yeah, I do too, Mike, especially as Bitcoin is holding up as much as it is. Over the weekend, Bitcoin has actually held its ground and is pushing its recent high up around this $103,600 mark. So if we start to see a good break of that high either tonight or tomorrow, I'm definitely going to keep my eyes on the Bitcoin-related stocks, Mike. I know IBIT has been following Bitcoin pretty well since it came onto the market. We can now trade options on IBIT as well. Just make sure that the chain and the spreads and everything on the bid and ask spreads are good, of course. But nonetheless, Mike, these Bitcoin-related stocks are nuts. I'm going to be watching MicroStrategy off of support. It's been channeling, and I'll be looking for a bit of a channel break coming out this week.
Uh-oh. But another thing that you definitely have to keep on the radar is this Tesla action. So this thing has been booming in the short term. It's now past $435 a share. It is in full rocket mode, and it has some serious momentum still. So definitely keep this one close on watch. Tom, I know that the skies are clear with this one because it's at all-time highs, but what are some key resistance areas we should keep in mind?
Yeah, definitely in the short term with Tesla, it's approaching $440. So that's going to be one huge area to watch there. I can pull up the Bookmap. In the short term, 440 is going to be huge. And then, of course, after 440 breaks, watch for 450, which is going to be a huge psychological level overhead. There's over 100,000 shares that were stacked there around the end of the day Friday at 450. So keep that in mind. And I will say, Tesla's had so much good momentum, Mike. It's been breaking a lot of these bigger levels intraday like they are nothing. So I'm definitely going to be watching Tesla a ton this week for more potential run and breakout there. But in other news with Tesla, Mike, they keep having great news ever since Trump has been elected. And it looks like the Trump admin's killing a rule that Tesla has to report some car crashes. And as I read through this, I don't think that this could help Tesla anymore, Mike, because apparently there's a rule right now where Tesla is a whenever you're using full self-driving, they classify these in different levels. Apparently, they're a level 2 advanced driver assistance system. So they have to report any crashes that will have a fatality, a vehicle tow away, an airbag deployment, or an individual being transported to the hospital for medical treatment. And apparently this year, Tesla's had 1,500 of these, and a close or distant second is Honda with only 100. So it's pretty weird that Tesla has so many of these, Mike, and that's a pretty big negative for them that they have to keep reporting all of these fatalities and stuff like that. So obviously killing this rule is really good for Tesla, and it's just more regulations that kind of help them out. But I think it's a little negative as well because I'm like, well, why are they killing this rule? I think it's good data to have. It might show that their system isn't quite the best yet.
And the thing is, when a certain technology is so new, let's say self-driving, you want to be able to, look at the crashes and the problems, to be able to fix that technology going forward.
Yeah.
So this, is definitely an interesting headline, but either way, I guess in a stock-only sense, it's good for Tesla stock in the short term, but I would say that's definitely interesting news. But either way, keep Tesla close on watch. It has a lot of momentum right now. But speaking of tech stocks, we also have to talk about the recent Nasdaq rebalance, Tom. And this is pretty interesting here. So Moderna, SMCI, and Illumina got the boot from the Nasdaq, and we have 3 new players: Palantir, MicroStrategy, and then Axon, AXON. So I think out of everything, the 3 most interesting things here are that, Palantir's in, MicroStrategy's in, and SMC is out. So what a crazy end to 2024.
Yeah, seriously. And I know a lot of people were thinking Palantir would get in, of course, but MicroStrategy was kind of up in the air, but they ended up getting in too, which is great to see. And I think that that's one thing this week that will help fuel MicroStrategy out of this lower range. I'm definitely going to be watching for this range to break. There's big resistance around 418 and then even up around 440 to 444 as well, right around that recent high. So I'm going to be watching for these areas to break this week, Mike, especially with this news. I think that this could, here's the thing with rebalancing, guys. It kind of forces funds and stuff to also buy this up, and that creates a lot of short-term buying pressure. So I'm definitely going to be watching for this channel to possibly break, as well as Palantir to possibly get closer to its highs. On Friday, there was a pretty big increase around the end of the day as people were expecting this to happen.
Yeah, so either way, keep these stocks close on the radar. But another thing that's definitely pretty interesting is that the market is at its point where it normally starts to really kick up. As we can see by looking at historical seasonality data for September, going all the way back to 1950, we can see that December is generally a pretty good month for the market, and it really starts to like kick off towards like that halfway point, which we're in right now. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, this is great. Great news for the end of the year. I know that we've looked at this chart a little bit for December, and we've been kind of waiting for the second half. So let's see a great continuation here, especially out of the SPY, which is getting pretty close to recent highs as well. And Mike, I know that there's also some pretty crazy breath going on out here, which is kind of funny to say. But at the same time, I'm sitting here and I'm like, gosh, like the streak that we're on is the largest one since 9/11. Like I can't even believe that.
Yeah, so basically what's happening right now is the market itself is up, and that's awesome. But when we talk about the market breadth, like you said, basically what's happening is in terms of like a ratio of declining stocks to advancing stocks, we are seeing the greatest, like most bearish form of that we have seen since the aftermath of 9/11. For the past 9 trading days alone, we have seen more declining stocks than advancing ones in the market, and that is a worrying sign because it shows that momentum is, certainly changing, but changing in a somewhat negative way. So keep that in mind. We're heading into a good time of the year, historically speaking, but we do have some worrying signs with the market breadth. And then another thing, Tom, is that we have the FOMC interest rate decision this week, and of course, a crucial Powell speech that goes along with that.
Yeah, the man, the myth, the legend coming back this week. It's going to be a huge one, Mike. And again, they are actually looking to cut this time, which is pretty huge right now. As of right now, the market's pricing in a 96% chance of a rate cut here at this meeting. So that's going to be a big day on Wednesday. Definitely have your radar set then. We'll be talking about this a ton as it gets closer as well. So make sure to check back in on Monday and Tuesday night's video. We'll definitely be going over that. And for the week, there are retail sales on Tuesday and even GDP numbers on Thursday as well, and PCE data Friday. So it's actually a pretty loaded week as far as data is concerned.
There we go. Most important of all is that Wednesday rate cut event at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So keep this close on the watch. We also have a Powell speech 30 minutes after that. And on top of that, Tom, we also have a handful of exciting earnings as well.
Yeah, I like how Earnings Whispers did us up with a holiday chart here with some of the snowflakes. Shout out to them for always making these great charts. But RCAT has been pretty popular lately. They're going to be reporting in after hours on Monday. On Wednesday, we have Micron, which did pretty well Friday, and then Nike and FedEx on Thursday, and Carnival Cruise Lines Friday. So it's not like the most stocks ever, but there is quite a few. Personally, my favorite, Mike, is Micron. What are you checking out?
Yeah, I agree with that one. Micron has definitely been a key player just in the semiconductor industry over the past couple of years. But what I think is like more interesting than anything else with like Micron stock is one, we have been seeing some like relative weakness with chip stocks in the ultra short term. And at the same time, Micron has been stuck in this range for a while. And it's like right at the midpoint where I think this next earnings will be a key point in determining like a short-term trend, not even just for Micron, but some other like key chip stocks in the industry. Of course, you have stocks like Nvidia that are still very close to their all-time highs, and that's awesome. But you also have like chip stocks like AMD that are like kind of down in the dumps and that are getting like weaker and weaker by the day, and that is pretty concerning. So I feel like this Micron earnings report is going to be like a like either pretty good or like pretty bad for some of these chip stocks.
Yeah, and I'm watching it really closely on the chart for Micron as well. They recently filled a gap to the downside. They're holding support very, very well. If the earnings start to make that support give out and they start to break down, I'll be pretty worried. But I'm honestly looking for a move higher with this one. And after the earnings are reported, I think there could be a potential good continuation setup on this one. So we'll definitely be watching for that as the week goes on. That's for sure.
Awesome. All right, Tom. Well, your SPY levels last week were awesome. What is on the radar for this week? SPY has been a little bit choppy lately.
Yeah, we've been watching this 604 level a ton lately, and for resistance this week, I'm really watching 604 and 605. On Friday, it closed just under 604, so I'm going to really be using this range as a major resistance. If it can break that, I'll be watching for a push towards 605.80 and then 607 before we start to test like 608 to 609 around the all-time high. If we do test that all-time high this week, that would be pretty awesome, but considering how much weakness was out there last week, I'm not necessarily looking for that. There's major support around the low of last week, right around 602.20, so I'll be watching for a breakdown of that. If that breaks, watch for 601 and 600 to the downside. The big thing right now, Mike, is are we going to be able to hold this key like 600 to 601 support? With all the weakness coming in, I'm getting more skeptical about it.
And this is a crucial area of support as well. This isn't just any normal support level. We're right around that $600 mark. Of course, we're heading into the end of the year. There's a lot of, strong movement in both directions right now. We have the market close to all-time highs, but we have declining breadth. We're coming into a historically not only strong month, but strong, specific time of the year. And, also in the short term, when I look at some, SPY levels and price action, in, a broader sense, we have been making lower highs in the short term, where we could see we have that all-time high with SPY on Friday, December 6th, right around $609 a share. We had that in a general sense, that second lower high right around that $608 area on December 11th. And then we're having lower highs from Thursday, December 12th and Friday, December 13th. And it's just showing more and more weakness and urgent selling. We have crucial support coming up. So yeah, this is going to be a key level.
Yeah, and I think that this week, that's the main thing to watch for is, are we going to be able to hold this? And of course, I know that we mentioned a lot of earnings and different things like that, but we have to kind of go back to the heat map again because these big tech stocks run the show, right? We cannot have days where Nvidia's down 2%, Google's down 1%, Meta's down 2%, and a lot of these stocks are pretty overextended as well, so I am getting a little skeptical, and like you said, there has been some weakness out there in the chip sector, like AMD's been pretty low, and a few others have actually been falling off a little bit in the short term. Even Nvidia has been pretty weak. Look at last week. That's a pretty bad week there for such a large chip stock.
And another thing too, like you said, is that these big tech stocks will play a key role in what happens in the short term. And, yes, we don't want 2% down days with Nvidia right now, but at the end of the day, if this stock shows weakness, you better adapt to it because there's been a lot of bullishness in the short term. And while that's awesome, ultimately you have to be able to adapt to changing market conditions. So if we do see a breakdown here, be ready to change and adapt as a trader because that is something that you just have to do. So definitely keep that in mind. But besides that, Tom, let's get right to some setups and predictions. A stock that is definitely on my radar still is CELH, and it is to the upside. This stock has been moving slowly to the upside, which is good to see, but at the same time, it would be nice if it had more momentum. The recent price action has been great, and I really like how it's still overextended to the downside in the grand scheme of things. Either way, I like the way the price action is developing with this one, and it's definitely on my bullish radar for the week, but I would really like to see a break above that $32 and 50 cent resistance area. If we could break through that, that'd be great. If not, just understand that this stock can move a little bit slower.
Yeah, 32.50 would be awesome to see a breakout at this week. I'll definitely keep it on the radar, Mike. I've been loving the move higher. Like you said, it's been kind of slower and choppier here on the way up lately, but all bases are forming, right? And it's going to be like that as the base starts to form. So just continue to be patient with Celsius. I do like it quite a bit as well. With my first or next play, I'm looking at MicroStrategy here. MicroStrategy, we've talked about quite a bit already throughout the video, so I won't hit on it too much. The main thing I'm watching for is a 418.50 break come tomorrow morning. If it breaks that in pre-market, you might want to make a 445 to 450 break, which is right around those recent highs. But I'm really looking for for a move higher here. Obviously, with that good news they had with the Nasdaq rebalancing, I think that there could be some pretty good buying pressure come in because of that. Plus, Bitcoin is testing recent highs as well and might end up breaking out Monday morning. So if we see a good break with Bitcoin, we see MicroStrategy break these key levels, I'll continue to watch it up. Just be careful playing this one. The options can get a little bit wild. Definitely do your research and know what you're doing on the options chain with this.
Alrighty. All right, another one that's definitely close on watch is CMG, Chipotle, and it is in a bearish way. This stock has been uptrending in a pretty strong way over the past couple of months since its drop from July, but basically it has some pretty heavy resistance overhead in the short term, and the recent price action on Friday was decently bearish. At the same time, we are also seeing relative weakness with some stocks like Kava, CAVA, and that just, is naturally somewhat tied to Chipotle, as they, have somewhat similar movement, just given how closely, these businesses are related. Either way, I'm looking at CNG to the downside in the short term. I would especially like to see a break below that $64.20 area. The more pressure this stock puts on recent lows, the better the setup becomes.
That would be awesome to get a good breakdown of 64.20. I really like that as support. I like the wick touch from last week as well there. So if we do see the breakdown, I will keep watching it, Mike. With my next setup, I'm looking at Tesla to the upside to continue the nice run. They just keep getting more good news after good news. We already talked a lot about the good news with Tesla with this rule that they might end up scrapping. So that'll be interesting there. But in the short term, Tesla has a lot of key levels coming up. I already looked at the Bookmap with it, but I want to see a 440 break. If we see the 440 break, I think that there'll be room to play a $10 range between 440 and 450. And that's really what I want to see, is a good 440 break and then 450 test overhead. That is a major resistance with 161,000 shares stacked up there. And I would say the closer Tesla gets, that might even rise a little.
There we go. All right, well, let's get right into today's momentum plays then. And with the first one, we have Archer again to the upside.
ACHR 17% on Friday. If it breaks above $8.50, keep watching it up. It's right around the high of day.
All right, with the next one, we have AMD, but to the downside.
Yeah, poor AMD here. They're right around a key 125 support. So if they're able to break under 124.80, watch them down.
All righty, and then with the last one, we have TSM to the upside.
Yeah, Taiwan Semiconductors, pretty good recovery on Friday. They're holding above $200 as well. So if they can break the high of day right around 202.50, keep watching them to the upside.
Sounds great. So we have TSM and Archer on watch for potential plays to the upside, and then we have AMD on watch for a potential play to the downside, but understand that these are setups only if they break through the levels listed. The stronger and more consistent these stocks move, the better the setups become. But with volatile stocks like these ones, you have to be more than happy to adjust and flow with the trend changes as they happen. But either way, keep them close on watch. And let's jump right into today's $410,000 big money trade. And we are looking at ticker symbol COHR. On Friday, the big money bought the 105 strike call options that expire on January 3rd of 2025. For my advanced traders out there, this is a call debit spread where they also shorted the 115 strike calls. But either way, we have a bullish setup here. COHR is a laser and networking company, and they've certainly been crushing it over the past few years, especially when you zoom out. This isn't like the craziest trade ever, given that it is, quote unquote, like only a $410,000 trade. But I certainly like how these options are already in the money, and at the same time, the expiration's pretty short. So the big money's definitely expecting a move pretty soon here.
Yeah, I like it quite a bit, Mike. It's been holding this range very, very well. It's been very consistent on this uptrend, and it's been stair-stepping up here over the past couple of months, which I really like. And right now, it's kind of in that process of stair-stepping up again. I would not be surprised if the recent high broke right around like that 114 area. I would love to see a push up to like 115 or higher with COHR. Like I said, it's in a very consistent uptrend. It does seem a little bit overextended, but lately, Mike, all these overextensions keep going, right? So how could you not just look at the overall trend and say, okay, we're going to play the trend up. If we do see the trend start to change and maybe a good rejection come in and a break back below $100, I would start to get a little bit more worried. But for right now, it's holding that dip very well.
All right, sounds good. Well, either way, keep this one close on watch going forward. And before we continue, Tom, let's give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Yi, in the Stocked Up trading floor, who crushed it on Friday and said, thank you so much to this community, and especially Mike and Tom. You guys want everyone in the community to be winners, smart trading and scaling out. I was able to execute this trade as planned, and he did a great job with AVGO. Huge shout out to you, Yi, and keep up the great work going forward. For those of you who have not already checked out the Key Lessons channel, check this out. It is free, and we spent some good time building out all of this for just the community. So if you join the Stocked Up Discord, again, completely free, and you head to the Key Lessons channel, basically we organize like everything you have to do if you actually want to trade in a smart way. Not only did we list everything out, but we also provided some common mistakes that traders make and the solution to them. So basically, if you want to improve, you can access this information for free. Again, just click the Key Lessons channel, and if you're not already in the Discord, I highly recommend it. It is a great place with a lot of great people, and there's a lot of learning all around, and it truly is a special place. If you want to join, it'll be that first link in the description below, and again, it's free, and definitely check out this channel in there. But either way, I think we're set for a very exciting end to the week. Of course, there's a lot of craziness going on, and I think we're set for a pretty exciting end to the year as well. If you guys are new to the channel, and if you haven't already subscribed, definitely consider obliterating that subscribe button to get our videos recommended to you more often. In every single video, we cover the most important news, events, earnings, big money trades, and everything you have to know about the market in most of the time, 20 to 25 minutes or less. And we also cover charts that you'd never otherwise see. So definitely consider joining the Stocked Up crew and obliterating that subscribe button. And last but not least, if you haven't tried out Bookmap already, definitely check it out. It'll be that first link in the description in the comments down below. It's like X-ray vision for the stock market. And if you haven't already tried it, now would be a pretty good time because we're set for a pretty action-packed end of the year, and it could definitely be something that can help you end the year on like a strong note. So either way, check it out. But besides that, thank you all so much for watching, and let's crush it in the market this week.